IDBM Challenge, Season 1, Episode 8. They say technology changes organizations and the way we work. But how do actually companies manage with this change? How do they implement disruptive technologies in a way that doesn't disrupt the organization itself? In this episode, you'll find out more. Enjoy. Okay, I can do this. Okay, hello. Welcome to yet another episode of Under the Lamp. I'm your host Miikka Lehtonen, and we are joined here today by Ksenia Avetisova. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for inviting.
So could we start by, if you could tell a bit about your background. So we are right now in Tieto.
Yes.
Tieto premises. So could you tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've been now working in Tieto for over 2 years, and I joined from Accenture, and before that I worked at Fjord. I have a background in interaction design and customer experience, so those are the key driving forces for my work also here. And the reason why I have also joined Tieto to see how these things can also be utilized in very IT environment and very kind of technology-driven corporation. And what I'm doing here now, I'm part of a data-driven business startup. It's our internal startup, which is concentrating on the ways of utilizing data in different ways and finding new approaches to using it and working with artificial intelligence and machine learning and many disruptive technologies. So we are also thinking about how innovation brings effect and how to build business in an environment which is completely changing all the time. And what are the values, well, like the human values, which need to be part of this environment as well.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. But so you mentioned like this data-driven business.
Yeah.
Was it set up when you joined, or did you join it, or was it already existing? Or?
No, this is one of the new, or even maybe the newest initiatives that we have in Tieto, and it was set up, I believe, was it last year, and concepted maybe a little bit earlier. Before that, we had a part of business which was called Industrial Internet, or we called it TINDI, Tieto Industrial Internet. And also when I joined specifically the customer experience management startup. And only this springtime I have moved to DDB, because DDB, data-driven business.
Yeah.
Because as part of DDB we have the data incubator, where we're working with startups, where we're working with internal teams which are innovating new ideas and new projects which can potentially turn into very profitable businesses for our customers and Tieto as well. And all of them have something in common, and that is use of data. Or different approach, and it can be quite wide. And when I joined Tieto, I joined for this SEM unit, and within the SEM unit we have been growing the concept which is called Tieto Experience Hub, something which is based on design thinking approach and methodologies. We have been utilizing this experience hub to experiment with many different things, experiment with ideas that our customers have, experiment with ideas that we have. We have been also running several different hackathons with our customers and partnering with them on solving different challenges that they have and potentially don't have resources or don't have maybe creativity in-house to approach. And as example, we have been last year running 4 external hackathons with Kalmar, it was a cargo hack, with Fazer Food Services, which is running university cafes, this Amica. For example, I believe quite many people have been there. So what we're trying to do together with them is to reinvent the lunch experience and make it more pleasant, make it more social, make it such that it takes into account the perspective of the person who comes to eat to the cafeteria, even if it might happen every day. So, of course, these type of questions are impossible to solve just being a corporation or just working with IT questions. You need to have the perspective of the user or the end user, so to say.
Yeah.
And that's what we are bringing to the work. And of course, much of it is supported by IT systems and technology nonetheless. But we bring in this human component into the projects that we are working on.
That is so awesome. Like, how does it, can you tell a bit about like how, because Tieto is traditionally seen as as you mentioned, like IT company, tech-driven company. How has it been to kind of bring in the human side of things to your processes?
It's not always easy because in many cases when we set up the projects, it's or make an offer for the projects, there is a certain problem that our customer or the customer team has in mind that they want to jump into solving.
Yeah.
They say, oh, this system doesn't work, or well, this process doesn't work. And they want to go in right away to find a solution. But in order to bring this human perspective, we have been also looking into utilizing naturally the design thinking methodology or the approach, even not only methodology, where you don't jump to conclusions right away. The important thing is to understand what is the problem and figure out why that occurs. So the causes are not always so obvious as they seem to many people. And also finding the same solution as you have used last time in a different case might not be the right answer for this problem.
Yeah.
And that's why what we are, with a group of enthusiasts and a group of professionals in Tieto in different offices in multiple countries, because we're a huge company, we have 14,000 people working, and not only in Finland. So we are actually present globally in many countries and in Europe in multiple countries as well. So we have this internal group of excellence with the design thinking when we run workshops, when we share our vision with the sales teams, with engineers, with financial controllers, in order to make them understand that the perspective of the customer, perspective of the end user, that's what needs to be taken into account when working on projects, when figuring out the solutions. And even if you know that something might work and you can jump straight to solving the problem, that might not necessarily be the best way. That first of all, you need to open up and explore and find alternatives and think outside the boxes and think outside of the things that you know from before. So take as many viewpoints as possible before you jump into making a conclusion. And this is the difference to the traditional approach of solving problems. And over the last years, we have had quite many initiatives to make this design thinking understood in the company, not only by designers. We have a design studio, we have very professional approach to design, user experience and UI and graphic design and all types of stuff, but that's not enough. You can't have a design studio to solve the problems of the huge corporation where we have very different type of roles present. So what we have been doing also from the corporate perspective of Tieto, there is a program which is called Learning as a Lifestyle, which has several different tracks, and one of the first priorities was also design thinking. And what it means is that to all the employees in Tieto, there is an online course and learning environment which is available, which gives the basis and gives very good resources and contact information to the professionals who can support and help and make design thinking and methodologies part of any project, be it IT, be it infrastructure, be it anything else. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. And as a follow-up, how do you understand design thinking in Tieto? Because there's quite a lot of kind of, maybe not confusion, but like diverse ways to kind of understanding it. But so what's your take on this in Tieto? Or do you have like a single unified view on it?
This is a very good question. So what we have been, what we came to, like the understanding of design thinking, and what we try also to let our colleagues take on board as the approach, is that design thinking is a way of solving problems. And it's also a way of putting human perspective and human emotions into the center of what we're doing. And that's a quite complicated situation with Tieto, because we don't always work with the end users. We work with our customers, which are other big traditional corporations who have their end users. Or it might be that our customers have someone in between the end users. If you think of forest industry or wood industry, the chain is quite long. And that's why we try to bring this perspective, or our aim is to bring the perspective that we always need to think of the customer and then the end customer. And by understanding what they need and what are their approaches to using the products or using the services, we're able to make those services relevant. And also another thing is that how we understand or how we've been utilizing it is that things are not done in isolation. Like we as Tieto ourselves, we cannot solve all the problems that our customers or end users have. That's why we need to be part of ecosystems. And we have also been finding out over the years that there is not one ecosystem that would solve all the problems. There are multiple ecosystems of partners, of researchers, of students, of users, of organizations, of various industries, which can come together in order to solve real problems of the users or real problems that might be putting the roadblocks to being more efficient or being more happy at work or being more happy in your real life. And what we have been also looking into is connecting the dots between the private sector, like private business, and for-profit making business, and public sector, which are the services that we as citizens or as humans we end up using anyways and needing anyways. And they seem to be quite isolated in many times from the business. And there are also different experience that you have with using governmental sites and using the services from like the any consumer services, not to name any, but also the experience at work is something that kind of puts different boundaries on people when you are using the tools, which are not maybe intuitive enough. So how to change this all and how to make it so easy for us to work and to be happy at home and to have this balance. So I think at the back of our minds, that's something that we have and something that drives us forward with different projects, that we don't only need to build a new system, but we need to make the system fit into way of working and way of living and make it easier for the person who's using it to reach the goals that he or she has for this purpose.
Okay, so just to check that I got things right. So basically, like what you're trying, what you're doing is breaking existing boundaries or showing people that the boundaries that people think exist, they are only imaginary. So like you're kind of looking for like new kinds of constellations or like new combinations. How can we bring in people from this part of the organization to work with these people? And or am I completely off?
No, this is a very good kind of summary or part of it and good direction. That indeed we have been doing this. So maybe not on purpose, but this is exactly what has been happening with Experience Hub projects, because we have a small core team, which, for example, we have coined the methodology for this custom experience hackathon, or as we call it, CX Hack. And you can search the hashtag CX Hack and you can find a few different ones. And what happens there? We need resources very different. So the projects are not the same. We cannot copy paste, even though we know the structure, what needs to happen, but we need to find the professionals in different areas. And then we have so many different units in Tieto where we can pick up brilliant people or people with relevant expertise. And we have external network of startups, of different organizations, the agencies and whatnot. So when we feel that there is something that we cannot deliver ourselves, but this is something that will really help to solve the problem or coach the teams or provide relevant input for our customer, that's when we combine all of this. And we're connecting the people, we're connecting the dots. Also, one of the things to illustrate what you have just mentioned about building connections is that we have also been organizing these cross-industry innovation forums. And those cross-industry innovation forums bring together the stakeholders from different industries. And one illustration of this was from one or few years back when we had the retailer, online retailer, Finnish one, the media company, the city, one of the city representatives, then we had the IT company, and I believe we had a telecom. So we put them all together in one-day workshop. Of course, there is a lot of preparation before and a lot of follow-up after, but we give them one challenge and we build these cross-disciplinary teams, and each of them provide something interesting for solving a challenge, or they can talk about what type of resources they have to support the concept to solve a challenge. And one of the challenges that we have been discussing is what I mentioned earlier about how to bridge the public services and the businesses and how to make them benefit or create more value for the consumers and citizens. So that's very true and great summary of what we're doing, like on the large scale. And another perspective, just to mention it, from this now data-driven business and the data incubator that we are running here, is that we are bridging also the gap between the larger corporations and established traditional businesses, which have quite rigid structures and quite well-established ways of working, with the startups and the smaller teams who might have a brilliant idea and the brilliant capabilities of doing something, but they don't have this muscle of the big organization. So how to support these smaller guys with nice ideas, interesting things, different perspectives, and make them fit together with the perspectives of the corporation that can really use something that these guys have thought of or created. But there needs to be integration as well. There needs to be a lot of, like, they're on a different level. I guess I don't have to explain there. It doesn't easily work out that, you know, the smaller startups fit right in as a piece of the puzzle to the bigger corporations and all the ways of working there. But we've been supporting also with this and looking into how to make it happen and how also to make bigger organizations innovate faster and be not like startups, but be able to utilize different powers that startups have in order to support the businesses or come up with the new business ideas that they have.
So basically, if someone in the audience or someone who's watching this has an idea, can they come and pitch it to you, like, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have, I share all the links with you, but we have now several external startups and some of the teams internally from Tieto, who are working on developing ideas which are really wide range, but they have something in common, which is being like data on the background. This is, even though someone was asking, oh, it's quite limiting if you want to use data, but now we are creating so much data. We are constantly creating trace in digital world, also in physical world, and how to use this in order to actually support ourselves. For example, if we think about health, there is a lot of data that we can use to predict things that might be happening or might be kind of going downhill with health before it's too late. And instead of curing diseases that are already there and established in the human, we would rather want to take a few steps back and start understanding that something is only on the verge of happening. So how can we actually change it, and how we can change the trajectory, and how it can be done in a different way, something that I can change myself that will lead me to a different result. So also, maybe to illustrate it with example, last year we had another hackathon which was related to data and artificial intelligence, and we have done it with a pensions insurance company, Elo. And what we have been looking there is how to support entrepreneurs in their very busy and very hectic environment. When they're trying to set up their business, they forget about their well-being. They forget about sleeping at night, they forget about eating properly in many cases. Of course, not all, but in many cases. So it's maybe quite similar to student years, but nonetheless, so how to utilizing the data which is available about entrepreneurs and their ways of working, etc., to be able to support them and not let them kind of down or get down, so that they are not able anymore to run the business, or they are not able anymore to lead a good balance between family and business. So that's very interesting fact that pensions insurance company is looking so much earlier in the journey to support the entrepreneurs than to wait until they're like retired people and then just give. So it's like we see this shift of approach from many corporations and many businesses that we need to be present on the whole journey. It's not enough that insurance company is picking up the phone when something has already happened. what they want to do now. They want to be there before that happens. They already want to know who you are, what are your habits, what are your wishes, and how we can best support you in case something really happens.
Yeah.
So it's extremely exciting. Like, I'm really passionate about these in service creations, and in the digital space, there is so much that we can do, so much we can learn from, like our devices, which are always on and which are getting our heartbeat, and our mobile phones, which we're not letting out of hands, or we're not letting out of sight. And how can we utilize this all? So coming back to the data incubator, it can be almost any idea which is drawing inspiration, or maybe is having part of the solution or part of the challenge connected to data. So
that is super exciting. And I think that's where design thinking and kind of this that you mentioned earlier, this kind of empathic approach to business and this human-centered. That's kind of when you combine those. That's where the real power comes from, because I guess like the tendency is to see when you say that you utilize data, then it becomes like this discourse that we are kind of this control state kind of things. But could you elaborate a bit on that? How do you combine them?
This is always a very interesting question about the ethical aspects of using the data and the ethical aspects of utilizing technology as well. And our firm belief is that technology is not a driving force. Still, the human spirit, as Einstein has said in his quote that we've been using, and we believe in it, that the human spirit must prevail over technology. And he has said it already a very long time ago. And the technological advancement will not stop. And having already understanding that we are not moving in the linear way, or if we are probably soon falling off the grid, but it's the world we're living in is quite exponential. So to kind of explain, which I'm sure you know what it means, but that the breakthroughs can happen overnight or in an instant. Let's take, for example, the virtual reality and augmented reality and this mixed reality. So I've been working in Tieto for the last few years, driving this, so understanding or learning, attempting to understand how we can use this more, how we can use this to advance the communication, advance the emotional connection between brands or humans, and it's kind of humans between themselves, or brands with humans, so to say. And we have been creating different or bringing to life different ideas we have with the use of these technologies and testing it. And for example, we have one virtual reality prototype about the retail experience, how you can shop within the virtual reality without having to ever touch the real objects. You can already see their scale, their texture, and a lot of stuff, and you can position them in a different way. And for that you only need like 2 by 2 meters and the HTC Vive. So anyone is welcome to come and try. Like, we have launched it last year at Slush, after maybe several weeks of working in a very experienced team of kind of user experience expert and the graphic designer and the coder and kind of lead concept person. So we have created something we believed in, and we wanted to test it. It wasn't a customer assignment, it wasn't any other project. So we have just launched the prototype, and it wasn't finished when we presented it at Slush. But last year we had, over the 2 days, more than 300 people trying it and giving us feedback. After that, we have taken it and we have done some modifications, and we have continued in a slower pace, but showing it in different events that we have organized ourselves. And we have created we have received a lot of feedback, and we created better understanding of what does it mean to utilize this technology? What does it mean to be completely in the digital space? Then we have another track for augmented reality, which is something different, but we are constantly wondering the meaning of this, and what is the implication of having more of this technology entering our lives? What is the implication of the price points going down, so that not only the kind of businesses or very wealthy individuals can afford this type of entertainment or tools, but Microsoft is coming out with very approachable and affordable devices, other than the HoloLens, which was quite a costly thing, so it wasn't for a consumer business.
Yeah.
And then Apple is enabling all the new devices, or all the devices with the newer software with this augmented reality capabilities. So what does it mean? That now we have this not only kind of a flat screen with the stuff, but we can really bring to life the 3D elements, and we can mix the digital and the physical world.
Yeah.
These are the questions. I don't have the answer, but we are constantly thinking about the meaning of this technology that we are introducing, and we also have realization that we are not only we are kind of following some trends, but we are creating them as well, and we're influencing the world or the society or nearby kind of people and the users with what we are putting out on the market. So we definitely need to be quite cautious about what is it that we are presenting and what we end up using as well, because we're using the same services as we are creating.
Yeah. I mean, definitely interesting years coming up.
Yes.
I think we are gonna continue the discussion in season 2. So if you want to find out more, please check out the season 2. But to wrap things up, we have been asking our previous guests a series of 10 word associations.
10 word associations.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
what does that mean?
So I'll give you a word, and then you'll give me like whatever comes first into your mind. Are you ready?
Yeah. As much as you can get ready for this one. Yeah.
Okay. Success.
Ooh, dreams.
Business.
Money.
Space.
Love. I love space. That's the only relation, I guess, at this point. But you asked for associations, so like.
That's the first time I hear that. Okay. Technology.
Oh. It's like, I want to say everything, because technology is everywhere. So it's like everything. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Future.
Human. Because I believe in human values, and in our future we really need to be concentrated on what us being a part of the bigger picture.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Innovation.
Drive. We need to be so driven in order to innovate that it's just, I think they come one and another for me together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Design.
Thinking.
Fair enough.
I have been talking about design thinking quite a lot this and past years, so I like design thinking.
Yeah. Strategy.
Oh, thoughtfulness.
Mm-hmm. IMDb.
IDBM.
Okay, so the next one is IDBM.
Goodness. I actually mix those up a lot, like, and every time, and I know I'm not the only one. So the second one was IDBM.
Yeah.
Is the movie database.
No, the first
IDBM.
one.
No, the movie. The
IMDb.
first one was like, yeah, yeah, exactly. So okay, the second one is fun experience and meeting new people. I think it's the perfect arena to do that.
Thank you so much, Ksenia.
You're welcome. My pleasure.